show right here.
What's up, Panther Nation? Hopefully anybody's joining us tonight, right now, hopefully.
We'll let everybody kind of trickle in a little bit. Hi, Taylor.
Shout out to the wife, Joe Vara, shout out. We got a few more coming in.
Hi, Drew. We'll have, once we get to about 10 people, we'll kind of get started and we'll go from there. And then anybody that watches, this will be on again, like after we're done. You can watch this after the game or whatever on Facebook. So,
and it's really hot in this press box, so please, bear with us as we're in the
yeah. All right, we're gonna get started. If you have questions, you can write them. We'll try to answer them as we go. We'll start talking a little bit, and then we'll answer whatever questions we see. But thanks for joining us for Facebook Live as we prepare for the big Monroe City Macon game. Should be a great contest. 3-0 teams, the two of the three undefeated teams in the conference. Again, join us. Whatever we want this to be interactive. We'll answer whatever questions you have, whether it be Monroe City football, softball, Missouri football, whatever you guys want to talk about, we'll talk about. However, we do want to say that no negative comments. We're not going to talk bad about any coaches, any of the high school kids. We want this all to be positive, but we're willing to talk about whatever.
Yeah, guys, it's kind of funny me being on Facebook. As a principal, I absolutely despised it because it caused a lot of drama. But I also have been on my wife's Facebook before, and I see the adults that post the negative comments, and then it gets 15 or 20 people posting the negative comments. I call it the Facebook mob. That's not what we're here for. That's not what we're about. We're here to positively talk about Monroe City. So if you're joining us from another town, know that we are going to be pro Monroe City, and we do not mean any disrespect towards any of our opponents, but we certainly are going to be homers towards our Panthers and Lady Panthers. So we appreciate you guys joining us, and we got a big game coming up. 3-0 Monroe City, 3-0 Macon. Really, both teams have handled their business. Monroe with a close game against Brookfield. But I think we got a lot of things shored up last week, especially along the offensive line with the blocking rules that Coach Kirby talked to us about. Really a good matchup. This is why you play football, folks, for games like this. You don't play football for the blowouts. You play football for the big games. This is a big game.
Absolutely. And this is, where I think this might be the most interesting contest we play. Maybe not the best, maybe, I don't know, but it's the most interesting because you have a Macon team that is going to be pass-oriented, which we don't see a whole lot in the conference. We do see a lot of, spread and run the zone read. This will be a team that may come out and throw us 20 times, which we haven't seen yet. It's going to be a test for our defensive backs. Played very well so far, but we got a couple new starters in Caleb Kendrick O'Brien, Lance Williams. Maybe their first test tonight. On the reverse side of that, this is last week we got the return of Zach Osborne. We've been kind of thinking we were going to see. Now it's going to be, can we get a full group effort from the whole running back contingent? And then I think this might be the game where we get a little bit going in the pass game. Two completions throughout this year. I think we're going to have to hit at least one or two balls through the passing.
Yeah, this is a really interesting matchup. As far as athleticism, not very many teams can match Monroe City athleticism. We're just athletic in so many different ways. Macon has athletes. Their quarterback's a great athlete, a great baseball player. Their running back, Kevin Edwards, very shifty, very good. Their wide receivers, though they haven't, they're probably 75-25 is probably their goal if I had to guess. 75 run to set it up, 25% pass. And so, the question we just got from Jeremy Moss, so shout out to Jeremy. I'm going to be in Oklahoma City next weekend for work. Jeremy Moss is going to be taking over for the color commentary next week. He asked, is the shutout streak going to continue? So we've had 3 straight shutouts. The defense has played phenomenal. And especially that Brookfield game when they were in the red zone, seemed like the entire game. They stepped up and made huge plays. Do I think the shutout streak continues? No. But I think the defense will prove once again how athletic and how good we are.
Yeah, and with that defense, I mentioned they're going to see a little bit more passing this time, but this will be the 4th straight week we play a spread-oriented team that their running game is out of the zone read. Now, Macon is going to throw a little bit more, but they will be out of the zone read, and they got a good running back. I think the fact that we played this 3 weeks in a row is going to be helpful because on the outside of that, Monroe City, 15, 20 years ago, everybody ran power, double tight power rushing team, and the spread was the exception to the rule.
Absolutely.
That's reversed now. Now the spread is the norm, and now having a wing T where we're going to run, double tight, we're going to run downhill, not something everybody else is going to see much this year, and this will be the first time Macon sees it this year. See how they handle it.
And Macon really struggled last year defending our wing T. They really had no answer. I think we put up 48 points last year, but it seemed like at any point in time we could have scored on any given drive. So I think for our offense, again tonight, we're going to have a heavy dose of Keenan Batzel, and Keenan has just played phenomenal stepping in for Cole Pennywell at the fullback position. And then Zach Osborne got going last week. You got to see the Zach that we know and love, the dynamic, the home run hitter. Okay, so you're going to see that. And then I do, like Michael, I think you're probably going to see a couple wrinkles tonight, maybe a couple screens, maybe a couple deep balls, passing on 1st and 10, try to get opened up, maybe a deep ball to KKO, Lance, Gatlin, maybe Gage out of the bottoms. Gage Bottoms is an excellent receiver out of the backfield. He's got the 5 2-point conversions. I think 3 or 4 of them on the catch side. So look for a few wrinkles. The double dive is always there, and it's always a wrinkle that Coach Kirby uses. The double handoff as well. And now we've added that wrinkle with the double handoff and then Gage as the option quarterback back to Blake. And what a return last week from Blake Hayes. I saw it on film. Chris Dewar had a deal on Blake the other night and got to watch that return again because I was so focused on the 2 blocks. Max Hayes and Damian Highland absolutely lit 2 kids up from Highland. So I was focused on the block. The return, 2, 3, 4 cutbacks and then gets in the end zone. He's so electric. And the whole premise of Dewar's story was the fact that it is unusual for a quarterback to be a punt returner, a kick returner, and then he's playing defense. But folks, he's an athlete. He needs to be out there. And I think what they were alluding to, what Blake and Lance was on there and Coach Kirby, was the fact that it's unselfish. It's unselfish. And you talk about a young man that just goes about it the right way and leads by example. And I'm sure he's probably gotten a little bit more vocal this year as a 3-year starter at quarterback. But what a great return. What a great young man. So while we're on it, Michael, how about Chris Dewar? Okay? So he just is awarded this week the Illinois High School State Athletics Association Distinguished Media Service Award, and I cannot think of anybody more deserving for that award in our area than Chris Dewar.
Absolutely, and it's not just the Friday night and Saturday night coverage, which is phenomenal, Tuesday night, whatever, being at all these, every event, football, softball, whatever, but it's the other things. He has a scholar athlete that he has weekly scholar athletes throughout the year, has a banquet for them, recognizing the kids that do it in the classroom as well as on the field. We have the Do or Die Bowl that was started, probably 10, 12 years ago, to recognize kids and give them one last time to play. And then the Do or Die All-Star team, both of us, I think we're probably both members of that team. This is special. This is not something you see elsewhere. The ability for these kids to get recognized outside of maybe the local paper, getting recognized on TV, getting interviewed, whatever it is, these are things that are not normal. They're not normal anywhere else other than here. And, these are the things that they can look back on, show their kids, show their grandkids, how it was for them, how successful they were, and just having that record that he has allowed us to have as well as the recognition he gives these kids is just phenomenal.
Yeah, he started, I believe, when I was a senior in high school, and so he covered our second place team that year, so he's been around for a long time, and it's just a huge shout out to him. He also does a whole preseason booklet that we actually use as a reference for some of our preparation and homework that we do for the games. You know, we try to put in some homework for every week so that we provide a unique listening experience to those of you that are listening at home. But he just does so much, and he goes about it the right way. And that position can get criticized because maybe somebody's not getting covered, or they're, your kid, But hey, he can't be everywhere. He can't do it all. And I can assure you, if your kid or your school is doing it the right way, and especially is having some success on the field, he is going to find a way to be there. And so he covers, Monroe City football. He's actually going to be here tonight. There was a vote on Twitter and probably Facebook, and it was voted that this is where in the area for him to come to this game. So we're looking forward to seeing him tonight. And just shout out to Chris and all he does for our student athletes. It is appreciated from the fans and of Monroe City for what you do. Very, very well deserved honor, my friend. And keep up the good work, buddy.
Absolutely. While we're talking about, we mentioned softball, we're going to get back to football, and we will end with football here, but we want to talk about the softball team. Softball team 5-1. Unfortunately, we had, the epic rains over the last couple weeks. They haven't got as many games as they'd like. 5-1, have a tournament tomorrow, round robin. South Shelby first game. Then the third game, it's a Canton team that's usually pretty good. Fun night at Lions Club. But, this is a team, just spectacular seniors, especially the leaders, Rachel Smith, Skylar Cobble, Mackenzie West, all playing Division II softball next year. You have the underclassmen, kind of the, high-profile underclassmen, Lauren Youngblood, Riley Quinn, Bailey Hayes. But this might be the most complete team that Monroe's had in quite a while in the softball field.
I got a chance to take them in the other night on Thursday night. They were playing Hannibal. Obviously Hannibal's a much larger school than us, and our one loss came to Columbia Hickman over at Columbia Hickman. Columbia Hickman has an enrollment of 1,500, 1,600 students. We have an enrollment around 260. So our girls go over there and compete for 16 innings, folks. Yes, 16 innings it went. Usually a softball game is 7. It went 16, so double plus 2. And we end up losing 2-1. Great game. Mackenzie West is the pitcher, and you mentioned her. Got a chance to take her in against Hannibal. Phenomenal outing. Her battery mate there is Rachel Smith, the catcher. Unbelievable catcher. Huge bat, too. Rachel is a threat to go yard at any time. And then Skylar Cobble up the middle. You're not going to find a better defensive shortstop in the area. And she bats in the 3-hole. Our lineup, and Matt can hit. She leads off. Then you got Lolo, Lauren Youngblood. Then you go Skylar. Then you go Rachel. And then you go the super softs in Bailey Hayes and Riley Quinn. And then another senior, Savannah Hetzler. And then in the game that I took in, was able to take in Mackenzie Moss, a freshman, and Carly Youngblood, a freshman, actually starting that outfield. Now, Riley will come in and pitch some, so they'll change some defensive lineups. Danielle Fonner will come in and play some first base. But, man, I tweeted about it today. That lineup is a murderer's row. I mean, there is no breathing room there.
Right, and that's so crucial in softball, where runs are at a premium, especially when you get to the postseason and you face good pitcher after good pitcher. Runs are a premium, and the fact that you can get your 9-hitter is going to be able to at least put the ball in the bat. That's crucial. And talking about Mackenzie West, on the hitting side, hit for a cycle the other night.
Yeah.
But in that Hickman game, 16 innings, they lose 2-1, 15 shutout innings against one of the bigger schools in the state. You're not going to find many pitchers that are more talented than her, especially as a two-way hit player. And they're building something that, come district time, they're going to be tough to handle.
Yeah, and shout out to Uncle Bill, who made an appearance back there at our Facebook Live. Diehard Panther fan, member of that chain gang over there, along with Scott and Matt and our guy over there, Wiener, he's over there taking care of business. So the softball team, and we talk about how athletic our football team is, but they are super athletic. They get on base and they can press the issue at all times. And, 3 or 4 of them have home. And Madeline Meyer came in the other night and pinch hit. And I found out she had 2 home runs already. I don't know if that happened on the JV game or the varsity. It doesn't matter. It's still a home run.
Absolutely.
So there's power coming off the bench. And then you've got, the 2 freshmen that are going to provide a foundation along with those sophomores, Bailey and Riley, to continue this thing on for the next few years. And it's just really exciting time for athletics in Monroe City. And we're not even talking about basketball today, and we could go on for another hour on Lady Panther and Panther basketball, and we probably will at some point in the Facebook Live closer to basketball season. But the fall sports, you're 5-1 on the softball, you're 3-0 on the football. If you get a chance, guys, come check them out. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. as Michael mentioned, first pitch against South Shelby. Beat South Shelby 10-0 last night, took care of business. We'll face them again tomorrow morning at 9 and then come back and face, like you mentioned, Canton's always a very solid softball program. It'll be a really good game at noon tomorrow at Lions Club Field.
Yeah, Canton, I think, went to the state championship or the Final Four last year in softball. They will play Canton tomorrow at noon at the Lions Club. We're going to transition again here. Let's talk quickly about Missouri football. Tomorrow, 107.5, who we will be on the radio at 6:40 today. New pregame time, 6:40 is when we're going to go on the air. 107.5 covers Missouri football. Missouri 2-0 start this week. They have a revenge game against a Purdue team that basically came into Columbia and embarrassed Missouri. 35-3, probably the low point in the Barry Odom era. Just absolutely embarrassed them. Tomorrow, they go to West Lafayette, go to Purdue, face a Purdue team that's reeling, going to be coming. They really need that win. If they lose tomorrow, they probably don't have a chance at a bowl. They're going to be hungry. Missouri 2-0, took care of business against 2 lesser teams. The offense, Drew Locke picking up right where he left off last year. His connection with Emmanuel Hall is just special. Probably the best 1-2 combo for the first 2 games of the season in the country. Certainly the best deep ball threat combo in the country between those 2. The defense improved. They need to show that tomorrow against a better offense, more dynamic offense with Purdue. And then, the one worry I have that after 2 weeks of Missouri football is the running game. Very exciting. You have Mario Crockett, who 2 years ago is a 1,000-yard rusher. Roundtree last year, 900 or 1,000-yard rusher.
700, 800, yeah.
2 guys that are all conference caliber players, and against 2 lesser defenses, haven't got the run game going. Luckily, Locke has been special, but tomorrow has got to be the start of the run game coming through.
Yeah, so, I was talking about this, so shout out to the tailgate crew over at Lions Club. They're kind of their slogan this year is Bring It On, so we love those guys over there. Had a chance to take in a mango habanero brat from White Barn Processing, Dana Ogle. You're the man. It was phenomenal. It was a little hot for me, but it was great. So shout out to them. And so Mizzou, it is going to come down to, so what I was talking about over there is it's a night game on the road, and for Mizzou, it always seems like funky things happen when we go on the road, and especially at night. That crowd has a chance to get all frenzied up through the day. So, but the last 2 games, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They took care of business against 2 lesser opponents. Drew Locke looks so comfortable in this offense at this point in time. He is really dealing right now. You mentioned Emmanuel Hall. I think he's thrown 7, 8, 9 different receivers have caught passes. And, of course, Albert O, probably going to be All-American tight end if at some point. Some big catches last week. It's a phenomenal target, 6'6", 6'7", huge target, great hands, athletic. And the defense, the defense last week really impressed me in the sense that we got a little pressure against Wyoming, and we forced them to just make mistake after mistake. Now, our defensive backs, I don't think have been tested, Missouri's defensive backs, just yet. They're young, except for the safeties. Khalil Oliver and Cam Hilton are juniors and seniors, but the cornerbacks, Adam Sparks, Christian Holmes, they're young, freshmen, sophomores, and so look for them to get tested a little more against Purdue, and it's a Big Ten opponent. So you're going to go in. They're going to have a big crowd. They're going to be pumped up. Their quarterback may or not play. But I also think with our running game, Coach Oden mentioned it a couple weeks ago. So the new really craze in football is the run-pass option. People hear it called the RPO. So Locke is going to go up to the line of scrimmage in the shotgun, and he knows he's got an option. Either he's going to be giving it on a zone read type play, or he's going to throw a quick out of bubble, some sort of two-man route game. Well, against UT Martin, we just handed the ball off. Even though UT Martin's defense was giving us a pass look like we should have pulled it and passed, they just went ahead and run it because it was a lesser opponent. I have a feeling that we have not seen probably 50% of this offense.
Right, I agree. And, Drew Lock last week had a couple big runs. I mean, he's an athlete that, I think with this new offense you're going to see a little bit more. We are about, 39 minutes to game time. We're going to talk for about
10 more minutes.
We got some questions we're going to go through, and then at 6:25 we're just going to do another just breakdown on the game one more time. Then we're going to go off here, and then at 6:40 again we'll be on 107.5 The Lake on the radio dial. Tune in app 107.5.
So we got a question. How is the Scott Frost era going to go from Glenn Tommy? We don't care. We hope they lose every game.
Absolutely.
And speaking of in Kansas, they won. Who cares? They're horrible. We can't stand the Jayhawks either. Any Jayhawk fans out there, we're sorry, but we do not like the Jayhawks, and you're never going to hear us say anything positive about the Jayhawks. I know we said keep it positive. That's different. That's college. We're not going to talk bad about any high school kids or coaches.
My daughter wants me to sing "Not Happening, Landry." I'm sorry. All right. So some of the send-in questions, which I put on Facebook and I put on Twitter, that you can send in questions to mcpanthersradio@gmail.com. And this is something we're going to try to continue to do throughout the year. I'll give updates on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, when we're going to do it. The first question I got from the mayor of Huntington himself, Brad Williams, was a rules question. For whatever reason, that's what the first question he asked. His question was, if a punter gets a bad snap, the ball's on the ground, and as the defense closes in, the punter kicks the ball off the ground, is that a legal play? And it absolutely is not a legal play. It is called an illegal kick. It's a 10-yard penalty, loss of down. Brad, thanks for getting us started on the mailbag. Definitely did not think that we'd have a rules question, but that's what it is.
Well, and also remember, folks, the worst kind of penalty is a loss of down penalty. So you lose the yards or the spot foul, in this case 10 yards, and the loss of down. That's huge. Most penalties you get to replay the down.
And in that particular situation, it's worse. You'd rather get the fumble on defense because they're going to get from where you kicked to, in 10 yards. I mean, they're going to gain 10 yards by you kicking it. Philly, not going to repeat, Bodie.
Sorry, Mike. Bodie, thanks for tuning in, man, but your Eagles look bad. Carson Wentz is a stud. He'll come back healthy here in the next week or two or month. Sorry, buddy.
All right.
Chiefs, look out for them.
All right, next question I had was another question that came in, said, in the mid-'90s, which we're probably not going to get to. Next couple of weeks, we're going to have some fun stuff about the 90s on the mailbag. We're not going to get to it this week, but one of the questions we can kind of talk to briefly is, in the 90s, the great rivalries with Palmyra, Centralia, South Shelby, times where we were in the same district and all teams were ranked in the top 10, top 6, whatever. And the question was, what made Monroe City come out on top for, the vast majority of those games? I'll let Ryan answer for his side. He played in those. That was a little bit before my time. But, I look at it from my time too. And, I was at the tail end of that run. And what I saw from the lab teams is every team is going to have one or two players, whether it's a stud lineman, a couple stud running backs, quarterbacks. Every team's going to have that. What made Monroe great is, first of all, they had the best quarterback on the field basically every time they played that. This guy right here, his brother Kyle, Ryan Ogden before that. And Monroe's always had a lot of speed, but what I think was the best thing for the lab years is the 5 through 11 guys on the offense and defense were so much better than the 5 through 11 for everybody else. Monroe did not have that drop off from 4 to 11 like everybody else has. We had 11 players that were all good players, and that's the difference, especially as you play deep in a game. That's what's going to be the difference.
Well, and Michael, too, our coaching staff was the greatest coaching staff in the state of Missouri. Coach Labry, shout out to Coach Lab. Coach Lab, if you're listening, we want to have you on Facebook Live. We want you as a guest. So somebody tag him and tell him we want Coach Lab in the booth with us at some point in time. So Coach Lab, we had Coach Plurt as an offensive line coach. Amazing what Coach Plurt did with that offensive line. You had Coach Pratt, who worked with the running backs and defensive backs. Coach Lab would work, with the linemen. He'd work with the linebackers, and what was phenomenal linebackers we had through that whole stretch. And then, you threw in Coach Krager, who would come. He was also working with the junior high, and he would come and help. Paul Frigo come in during the mid-'90s and provided a different perspective and did a great job. So our coaching staff, and the thing that people that have always asked me that question was, we truly believed. So it didn't matter who showed up on Friday night. If it was the Kansas City Chiefs, and going back, we're on live here, buddy. Sorry. We've got a note here, and we'll get to that here in a minute. Thank you for providing that. So as I was saying, we kind of had a hiccup there with the connection. So we believed, and our coaches instilled in us that we were going to win no matter who showed up on the field. And they instilled it in us every single day. We worked hard, yes, but that mentality we had. And then as a younger guy, watching, as a freshman with the Aaron Crows and the Jamar Whites and that team, and we could go on and on about that 94 team, we didn't want to let them guys down later on and have a losing season. We wanted, and it's the same for you guys that watched us, you guys wanted to keep that tradition going on. And so, as it was so great these last 2 years to get to see another generation of Monroe City Panthers experience a state championship run. Came up short 2 years ago, but then, reached the pinnacle, winning the state championship last year. So a whole nother generation of Panthers are going to have those memories. Now, and not to bring up bad stuff, cuz I know you lost to the semifinals. You all had a great run that season. Phenomenal memories for me coming back to watch that team and that era. So a lot of great eras in Monroe City football. So I think you add all that together and you had an impressive run. So again, shout out to that coaching staff, Coach Lab. Hey, Coach Plurt, Coach Pratt, Coach Krager, anybody, you guys are more than welcome to join us at any time up here in the booth. So I think the one question too that came from that was posed on Facebook was, and we're not going to get into it tonight, but okay, what would be an all-time Coach Lab team? So
let's just do this. You guys think about what your all-time Lab team was. Send it to me, whatever. We'll compare. It will probably be 2 weeks from now. We're going to try to do it from South Shelby in 2 weeks. That is when we'll try to answer that question. So you got 2 weeks to think about it. We have our list. We'll certainly join it.
So Griff's got a question for me here. He said when he was younger, people would say we should never have beaten Burroughs in '96. Is that true? Do you guys have more heart? Yes, we had a lot more heart. No, we probably should not have beat that John Burroughs team, because here's what I'm going to tell you. They had a kid that go to Stanford, the defensive end. They had a kid that was rumored to go to Penn State, number 17. When we shook hands, he doubled me in size, and so did the DN.
And running back.
And the running back, Young Fountain, who had the big run at the end of the game.
Who got hurt. He was a Division I running back, got hurt his senior year, went to Division II, was dominant, set some school records wherever he went.
We just didn't want to lose. Period. I think we just had more heart.
Right.
And so good question there, Griff.
And certainly, we're sorry we didn't get to many. We kind of, shockingly, got up to 40 people. Thanks for everybody for watching. We're going to talk just briefly. Things to look for tonight if you're going to listen or you're watching. The kids for Macon to look for. Nash Waller, the quarterback, probably the best arm in the conference. Very good runner. You have the running back, Kevin Edwards. Reminds me of when I played a guy named Craig Hicks. Very similar, shifty, smaller running back, a lot of speed. The receivers we don't know, but they do have two really good linemen, especially one of their linemen, 6'8", 317, and said he's a legit lineman. He's just not big, he's legit.
Yeah, Coach, that's coming from Coach Kirby.
On their defensive side, they have a kid, Grunlow, familiar for Palmyra, I believe a relative of his. He's their middle linebacker, leading tackler. The Jaden Phillips, I believe, or Phillips is, I believe, the big guy's name. He's their best player defensively, too, on the defensive line. For Monroe today, we talked about it. I think the key is we got to get Zach Osborne more than 7 touches that he had the first 2 weeks. I think this is a game where we see Zach Osborne touch it 12, 13 times. We're going to rely on Keenan, but I think we got to try to get outside, especially with the size they have up the middle. The passing game, they're going to have to get something going in the passing game. They had way too many talented players involved in that to not be more successful. Defensively, the key is they have got to get pressure on this quarterback and not give him time to throw. I think I have a lot of trust in our defensive backs, but they're young. They haven't faced this kind of threat. We have linebackers. We have a couple returning ones. We have Damian, who's been phenomenal.
Stud.
But, this is a new experience with this kind of offense. By far the best offense we'll face. I think if Monroe City can get the ball moving offensively, I think we're going to be good to go. I don't think that we're going to shut them out. Certainly wouldn't put it past them, but I think the key is Monroe's offense has got to get going. If they do, I think we win this game. We'll see how it goes.
Well, I think the keys to victory, so a little disclaimer here, some of the things we're talking about now, obviously we're going to be talking about in the pregame here in about 10 minutes. So tune in to 107.5 The Lake. For the pregame show, we're going to start 20 minutes early with the big game, so we're going to start 20 till 7, and then, of course, kickoff is at 7 o'clock. So here are the keys to victory that I wrote down earlier. For Monroe City, we're going to have to tackle in open space. They are going to have athletes in open space all game. So we are going to have to tackle our linebackers and defensive backs are going to have to make tackles in space all night long, okay? And then secondly is for our continue on the O-line. They worked last week diligently all week on rules and assignment football. I think that continues, and that goes for the running backs blocking for each other. If we do those two things, we're going to be just fine. So for Macon, in order to pull the upset tonight, they're going to have to hit some home runs. They're not just going to be able to dink and dunk this defense. We're too good. We're too athletic. If they're going to have a chance to win, they're going to have to hit some home runs. And also, they're going to have to figure out the wing tee because they have not proven in recent years that they can stop it.
And defensively, talking about the big plays, Monroe City, going into last week, had allowed one 20-yard play. Last week, they had a big run from Newton. They went down inside the 10. They may have had another 15, 20-yard play, but this has been a defense that has been so stingy with the big plays. And this is a Macon team that is not designed to drive down 3 yards, and just drive you down. They need the big yardage plays. Monroe's got to stop it. We are going to have to sign off as we will be going on the air in about 8 minutes. Again, 6:40 for pregame. Thank you all for joining us. Got up to 40 people, way more than we expected. We appreciate it. This will be continuing. You'll get updates. I'll put updates on Facebook and Twitter next week. Ryan will not be here. It'll be me and Jeremy or me and whoever else wants to join me. But, it was fun. Thank you. And join us on the radio here in about 8 minutes.
Don't forget TuneIn app. TuneIn app. It's free. I know some people have said that it costs them. You don't have. It's free. It's 107.5 The Lake. Just search. I'll be listening to Tiger football tomorrow at Youth Football with Mike Kelly in the call. And then, obviously, on your radio dials, 107.5 The Lake.
All right. Thank you, guys.
See you in a minute.